Okay, in this video we're going to go over how to turn on the collector debugger, how to use it, the type of information we can get from it, and how to turn it off. In this video we're going to use the Biznology website as an example. It has a working version of the collector on it. First things first, I'm using Chrome. I'm going to open the developer console. I'm going to refresh the site just to make sure I have the latest version running. I'm going to search for a term, and notice there's no console outputs. When we turn on the debugger, we will have console warnings popped up with the API requests being sent and those responses, giving us more information about the particular request, whether or not there were any errors, and the details about it that we can reconcile against our website. This particular site is a WordPress site. The JavaScript is inserted in the footer. So to get the debugger running, it's very simple. You just type in this line. Essentially, you want to set the _debug flag in the data object under the solo segment object to true. I'm going to update that file. I'm going to go back to the website. I'm going to refresh the website and search for another term. And notice we now have console warnings specifically related to solo segment. Typically, you'll see the solo segment name. So if your site has output in the console, you can filter that out in the filter. Most browsers have a filtering capability in the dev console. You'll typically see the warning message title or headline. You'll see the name, the type of message, which could be search, results, or click, and whether or not it was a request or a response. In the request, it shows you the actual request URL being sent to the solo segment server. In the response, you will see an object, a JavaScript object. Non-fatal errors is essentially what you're looking for. If it's null, then there were no errors with regards to the collector and the information that you sent. From what solo segment could tell, all the information sent was correct and valid. And notice we actually send you the log containing all the information that we save about that particular request or search. Here's an example of a results request and its particular response. And one thing to note is that the request response timing isn't always request response. It could be request, then the responses come in. Just note that there could be delay between the actual request and response, thus showing in the console out of order. Further inspection of the request and response can be found in the solo segment object underneath the object or the attribute debug_data. You may further inspect the sent messages, which are the requests themselves and what type they are. And each response for those requests can be found under the responses. Under the response object, you'll see whether or not there were fatal errors with regards to your collector. The original URL for the request is given for your convenience of matching each response to each request. And for the log object, it makes it easier to see the type of request that was sent, which is the action is the search, your API count. This is the type of information that you can reconcile against your browser. Notice that under URL results, they're null. Well, obviously there are URL results. Notice the type of request was sent is search. Not all types send all the same data. Search is an initial touch to the server, initial ping, you can say, to let us know that the JavaScript was loaded, and indeed we are loading a search page. In order to find out the URL sent, we will want to go to the results request or response. So I'll go to the object with the results action, and I scroll down to URL results. Here's where I'll find an array of all the results on page that are being inspected by the solo segment collector. Note you can reconcile the term being searched as marketing and all the other information. For clicks, we actually stop the click from going through. I'm going to clear the console. Now, had we let the click go through, we wouldn't be able to see this type of information. Notice the click type, request, and click response, and all that information is sent. The URLs are also sent with each click for redundancy. I'm going to go back and inspect the debug data object, and notice that the last clicked object is no longer null. We have the index of the click being stored, so the order of the results. This should return a 1 index, this is a 0 index, and the URL clicked itself. Now say we'd like to follow through with that click because we'd like to see the seconds on a bounce or a pogo stick. Simply call the function under the solo segment object called continue to last clicked URL. This function essentially takes this URL stored in the last clicked object and goes to it. And then upon return, it's back to familiar territory with the search and results responses and requests. In order to turn off the debugger, it's as simple as it was to turn it on. We could simply set it to false, or even delete the entire line. If you foresee yourself maybe working on this more, you could leave it in there, but I recommend to go ahead and just delete the line so it doesn't make its way onto the production environment. I'm going to update the file. I'm going to refresh this page, and note that all the debug console warnings are no longer seen.